Alright folks, get ready for a Reddit story from r/relationships about betrayal that hits way too close to home. When love turns treacherous between siblings and a once-beloved fiancé, the bonds of family are tested like never before. Alrighty, let's dive in. My stepsister slept with my ex-fiancé and married him. It's been 5 years and my family thinks I should be over it already. Posted by ThrowRAFNF. When I was 23, I'm now 28, I was engaged to Ryan, who was 32 then, now 37. Our engagement ended when my stepsister Kelly, who was 24, now 29, begged me to leave him because they were in love with each other. Ryan was too afraid to break up with me because he didn't want to hurt me or my family. When I confronted Ryan about it, he denied everything, saying that she had been trying to come on to him for some time, but he never mentioned it because he didn't want to ruin our relationship. He begged me not to believe her, so we continued as we were. Kelly grew resentful and constantly made nasty comments about how I was forcing a man who didn't even love me to marry me because I had low self-esteem. A month later, she sent me a video of them having intercourse in my bed and multiple screenshots of him telling her he loved her, how he wished she was the girl he was marrying, and how he hated that I wouldn't let them be together. I was devastated and angry, but my best friend convinced me not to go nuclear on them and instead to quietly move out when Ryan was at work the next week. That's what I did. I contacted my dad and stepmom and asked if I could move in temporarily. I removed the money I had contributed to our joint account for wedding expenses, transferred the rest to him, and closed the account. Once I got settled in, I sent all the screenshots she sent me to all of our relatives and his. Ryan tried to get back together with me multiple times, but I ended up blocking him when I found out he had proposed to her with the same ring he gave me. I left it behind. Now, Kelly is my stepsister from my mom's side. I have another stepsister, 36, and stepbrother, 38, from my mom's second marriage, and a half-sister, 26. They all went to the wedding whenever I tried to express how hurt I was by the fact they were just supporting Kelly and Ryan as though what they did to me meant nothing. They would shrug it off and say they couldn't cut them out completely because they were family. I haven't spent a single holiday with my mom's side since. Neither has my older biological brother or sister. I only see my mom and half-sister when I invite them over to my place, as Kelly and Ryan moved in with my mom and stepdad a year after they got married. Our relationship is very rocky, but I've grown closer to my dad, stepmom, and their children, an older stepbrother and 2 younger half-siblings, who have all been very supportive since this happened, so it's not all been bad. On New Year's Day, my boyfriend, now husband, proposed to me. We had a small engagement party to which I invited my mom and half-sister, but they never turned up because I was excluding half of our family. I never invited my stepdad or step-siblings because they were pretty hurtful when it came out that Kelly and Ryan were sleeping together. They claimed it wasn't their fault I got in the way of true love, and made me out to be some sort of vindictive Disney villain for being angry with them. We were planning to have our wedding ceremony this summer, but in late February, my husband suggested we postpone until next year. He was concerned COVID would get worse, and we would have to cancel or reschedule anyway. I ended up finding out I was pregnant a month before our original wedding date, so we had a courthouse wedding on that date, with the plan to hold the ceremony next year. Only my dad's side of the family were aware of both the pregnancy and the wedding. My stepmom likes to knit, so she's been making some stuff for the baby. Recently, she posted about the things she had made on Facebook with a caption talking about how excited she was to have another grandchild soon. I was tagged in the post. I have zero issues with the post. I never told my family I wasn't going to inform my mom's side. She just never seemed very interested in my life or relationship, so I never brought it up. My mom called me an hour later to demand to know if I was pregnant and how she couldn't believe I hadn't told her she was finally going to be a grandmother. She has since invited me and my husband over to her house multiple times. I've declined every single time for the obvious reason. My stepdad, who I've barely spoken to in 5 years, has reached out to tell me how excited he is to meet the baby and my husband. Same with my siblings. Even Kelly reached out to my husband to congratulate us. I was furious. The next time my mom and stepdad called me, I finally laid into them. I told them I didn't want them to keep inviting me over when they knew I would be forced to see Kelly and Ryan if I came. I told them how hurt and angry I still am over what they did to me and how my family dismissed my feelings. I told them how they wouldn't throw Kelly and Ryan away, But they were so quick to leave me out to rot while I was going through the worst betrayal I'd ever experienced in my life. I told them I wasn't even sure I wanted people like them in my child's life. My mom was crying hysterically and kept saying I was being cruel and I couldn't deprive her of her first grandchild. The thing is, my baby isn't her first grandchild. My sister has 2 adopted daughters already whom my mom doesn't even try to bond with. She kept wailing about how I might be the only person in our family to even give her grandchildren. My stepsisters are both having a hard time getting or staying pregnant, and my half-sister has proclaimed herself to be child-free. My stepdad got angry and defensive. He claimed I was petty for holding on to something that happened 5 years ago. He pointed out how I had found someone else, so I should understand how love works. And sometimes 2 people just can't help themselves. You love who you love, basically. He said Kelly and Ryan were happy together, so I should be happy for them the way they're happy for me and my husband. The ironic thing is, my sister told me Kelly and Ryan looked like they were on the verge of divorce and they argue constantly. My mom complains to her about them and how my siblings all hate him but pretend they like him for Kelly's sake. I ended up hanging up because I was so angry, and when I get angry, I start crying. I didn't want them to think they got to me. Since then, I've been receiving texts and calls nonstop from my mom's family. They're all essentially telling me I should be over things already. It's gotten to the point where my husband and I have switched phones so he can screen my messages for me and I don't have to read them. How do I make my family understand just how unforgivable what Kelly and Ryan have done to me is? I would prefer not to go completely no contact, but is that my only option here? Wow, I mean, this story is like a plot straight out of a soap opera. First of all, Kelly and Ryan's grand romance? More like a lesson in betrayal and zero taste in proposing with the same ring. Now, let's talk about this family's sense of loyalty or lack thereof. It's heart-wrenching to see the family siding with the perpetrators instead of the victim. As for advice, OP, stick to the folks who've been there for you. Your dad's side is showing true support, and you've got a loving husband now. That's where you should focus your energy. As for the other side, maybe it's time for some boundaries. You can't let people who clearly don't respect your feelings dominate your life. The crying and the guilt tripping. Classic manipulation. Stay strong and surround yourself with love and positivity. You deserve nothing less. Now, onto the comments. Being over the relationship is not the same as being over the betrayal. You can love your new husband and be happy you didn't end up with Ryan. You can also still be hurt that when everything happened, your family refused to acknowledge that your stepsister and ex broke up your relationship. If they genuinely don't believe they've done anything wrong, then I don't think there's any path forward. You should try and let go of your anger for your own sake, but that doesn't mean you need a relationship with them. It sounds like you have a lot of other close family. So pathetic that all their wailing is about what you are doing to them and no apologies or even acknowledgement about what they all did to you. Sounds like you're always the one who has to accommodate others. I speak from personal experience when I say that having toxic family members in a child's life is much, much worse than not having them there at all. My grandparents, dad's side, always talked poorly about my mom when they babysat me as a kid. It put some awful ideas in my head and led to a lot of pain and sadness for my mom as I repeated some terrible things I didn't understand. I know you would feel guilty if you cut your family off, but you can't put your own feelings over the well-being of your child. Letting people who very clearly don't respect you into your child's life is a choice you will almost certainly come to regret, OP. Don't do that to your kid, please. This group of people includes a woman who stole your fiancé and adults who blamed you for having a problem with it. Do you really think these people are going to be good influences on your child? Hey, wait. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let me know what you would have done if you were in this situation down in the comments below. Anyways, stay safe out there in that crazy world. Much love. Peace.